How impossible does it sound to be bitten in the head, yet still live to tell the tale? It's the kind of one-in-a-million event that defies belief, but that's exactly what happened to Vanessa Chaput, who found herself trapped in the powerful jaws of a grizzly. Despite suffering multiple bites to the head, she survived, and lived to recount every harrowing moment. Join us as we unravel the incredible story of how Vanessa escaped the jaws of death. The Yukon twilight was deceptive that evening, more like a long, pale dusk than night. It painted the Trans-Canada Trail in soft strokes of amber and gray as Vanessa Chaput jogged alongside her loyal German shepherd, Luna. The air still carried the sun's warmth, and the silence of the vast wilderness was soothing, broken only by the rhythm of her steps and the distant chirp of crickets beginning their nightly chorus. It was June 30th, 2024, just after 10:30 p.m., and the trail near Pine Lake Campground was empty, silent in the kind of way that makes you feel alone and safe all at once. Vanessa, 24, had run this path many times before. As a mother and wife, solitude didn't come often, but the trail gave her space to breathe. She'd left her 2-year-old daughter at home with her husband Dave and was savoring the moment until it all changed. They rounded a bend in the path, a place where the dense woods crept closer to the pavement, and suddenly, like shadows came to life, there they were. 3 bears stood in the middle of the trail. Grizzlies. Time froze for a second. Vanessa's breath hitched in her throat. Luna, sensing danger instantly, went rigid. Before she could react, Luna bolted. The German shepherd darted forward like a streak of fury, barking and growling. The 2 smaller bears startled and fled into the trees, leaving the largest one, a hulking bear with a massive chest and the confidence of an apex predator, rooted in place, staring at Vanessa. She turned to retreat, every instinct screaming to run, but her legs moved with care. She knew better. You don't run from a bear. You give it space. Then she heard a twig snap behind her, and a 4th bear came into view. It turned out that she was surrounded. In the blink of an eye, the large male surged forward. She tried to sidestep, tried to duck behind a tree, but the bear was faster. It struck her like a truck. Pain exploded through her body as claws raked into her back. Vanessa hit the ground hard, the wind knocked from her lungs. She tried to crawl, to roll, to protect her head, but the bear found it anyway. She felt the immense pressure as it took her head into its mouth. Then came the tossing. She wasn't even aware she was screaming, because she wasn't. She made no sound. Her brain shut off the pain. Her training kicked in. She'd read somewhere to play dead, to go limp. She went still while being thrown around like a rag doll. Actually, there's nothing she can do to escape from such a cruel situation. Instead, she hopes it just lets go. But the bear did not let go. Its teeth dug into her right arm, crunching down with bone-breaking force. Her lower forearm shattered under the pressure, nerves screaming even as her body refused to process it. The claws gouged her thighs and spine, each movement a new searing wave. And then, oddly, it stopped, for a reason you'll later find to be unexpected. Still, she didn't move. She kept her body limp, her breath shallow. Then, from a distance, a familiar sound. Luna's bark. The shepherd had returned. Vanessa couldn't see what happened next, but she heard the chaos. Luna's snarls echoed in the trees. The grizzly turned its attention from Vanessa and began to lumber away. Maybe it was Luna. Maybe it was the sudden noise. But the attack was over. When she finally dared to move, her entire body throbbed with a pain that didn't feel real. Blood stained her clothes, matted her hair. She could barely see through the red in her vision. But she was alive. Somehow, miraculously, she was alive. By the time she could smell the antiseptic and hear the beep of machines, the pain finally caught up with her. The hospital room was cold. Her head throbbed beneath tightly stitched skin. Her upper arm, swaddled in gauze, throbbed with every breath. Her right forearm, fractured and pinned in place with a temporary cast, was useless. Claw marks stitched up her spine like a cruel second skin. 32 stitches. Vanessa counted them, not out of morbid curiosity, but because they felt like trophies. Proof she was still here. It took 10 days in that bed before she could move without gasping. 10 days of IVs, medications, and whispered updates about the investigation. Her husband Dave had stayed by her side the entire time, but she hadn't seen her daughter since the attack. Vanessa hadn't even been able to hold her. The muscles in her arms wouldn't allow it. The trauma in her body didn't trust it. That was the worst part. Not the pain, not the scars, the distance. Authorities later said Luna likely saved her life. The dog's barking might have been the final push that drove the bear away. Even more astonishing, Luna hadn't suffered a scratch. Conservation officers would later say that the attack was a rare case of territorial aggression, likely triggered by a combination of bear behavior and the sudden presence of a runner. But Vanessa had done everything right. She didn't scream, didn't run, tried to back away, even tried to hide. It simply wasn't enough. Her husband Dave was asleep at home when the attack occurred. He wouldn't learn about what happened until Vanessa was already in an ambulance, barely conscious, mumbling words that amounted to she stayed alive for him and the baby. News of the attack spread rapidly, capturing attention far beyond the quiet trails of the Yukon. Details emerged that Vanessa's survival was not due to her dog Luna alone, but also to something far more unexpected. As the Grizzly mauled her head with terrifying force, its jaws clamped down on a seemingly insignificant plastic claw hair clip nestled in her hair. The clip shattered instantly under the pressure, and a jagged piece lodged between the bear's teeth. The animal recoiled in frustration, snarling and momentarily distracted by the foreign object now stuck in its mouth. That single pause, the brief, bewildered irritation of the beast, gave Vanessa the crucial window she needed. Soon, headlines told her story as a woman saved by her dog and a hair clip. Luna was hailed as a hero, and the hair clip became a symbol of improbable salvation. Within hours, friends had launched a fundraising page to help support Vanessa's recovery. The need was urgent and clear. She couldn't return to work. She couldn't even hold her daughter. Her right arm was broken, her back torn, and her body too fragile to carry out even the gentlest tasks of motherhood. While Vanessa healed, the Yukon Conservation Officer Services launched an investigation. A conservation officer had euthanized a bear found at the exact location of the attack, believing it to be the same one that had mauled her. But the story didn't end there. 3 more bears were found in the area. 2 of them were euthanized as well. All matched the general description. Adult grizzlies, uncollared, likely part of the group involved in the incident. Samples were sent to a lab in Alberta, blood, hair, saliva, to determine DNA matches and behavioral context. No one knew which bear had attacked Vanessa. They only knew one of them had. And maybe, still, the 4th bear, the one that had stood behind her, was out there. The hunt for that last bear went on for days. Helicopters swept the skies. Drones traced movement through the trees. The campground was evacuated. Caution signs sprang up on nearby trails. But eventually the search was called off. The wilderness remained just that. Wild. Back in the hospital, Vanessa watched the news coverage in silence. Her husband read updates aloud when she couldn't bring herself to. The euthanizations weighed on her heavily. She didn't blame the officers. She didn't blame the bear. According to her, both human and animal live in the wilderness, and the coexistence might one day have issues. That thought stayed with her as she was discharged. Her body, still sore and stitched, moved like something no longer hers. Her back ached constantly. Her arm hung limp in a sling. She couldn't lift her daughter, couldn't jog, couldn't sleep without waking in a cold sweat, the phantom weight of claws pressing into her spine. Counseling was already scheduled. She didn't resist it. She wanted to heal the right way. Not just the flesh, but the fear. The part of her that still flinched in the shadows. That part needed attention too. After a while, her body began to mend. The stitches dissolved. Her scars faded from angry red to soft silver. She walked short distances, then longer ones. She still couldn't run. She still couldn't lift her daughter. but she could laugh. She could sleep more often than not. And when Luna barked, Vanessa no longer jumped. The final report from Yukon Conservation arrived one afternoon in a padded envelope. The DNA was inconclusive. The attacking bear could not be definitively identified. The 3 euthanized bears were confirmed to be in the area, but their role remained uncertain. The attacking bear, they said, had likely returned to the site immediately after Vanessa was taken away. That was the one they had euthanized. Maybe. No certainty. Only best guesses. Vanessa didn't mind. She didn't need every answer. She knew the land didn't offer closure. It offered only balance. In the end, it wasn't about vengeance. It was about safety and survival. The bears were gone. The trail remained. And so did she. Her body still carried the marks of that night, but they no longer defined her. They reminded her of how fragile life is, of how strong the will to live can be. She would return to the trail one day. Not soon, but someday. Because the wilderness was her home too. Don't forget to like and subscribe as we have more heart-wrenching stories coming.